again. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There was an echo. Welcome to this 24th session of the Afghan Association of Ontario program on racism, discrimination, and hatred of all kinds, especially Islamophobia. This is an initiative of the Afghan Association of Ontario in collaboration with the Government of Canada to increase awareness of this, what I refer to as the triangle of evil, which is discrimination, racism, and hatred of any kind. This program is specifically focusing on Islamophobia because most of our audience come from the Muslim faith, and Islamophobia has been on the increase in the last while. In this program, we usually bring people from the community to share either their experience or their expertise or their life stories with us. And today we have a special guest. His name is Ahmed Sharifi. It's easier to just call him Ahmed. So Ahmed Sharifi, he is the vice president of a startup company, and he's a community activist. So Ahmed, welcome to this program, and I thank you for, allocating this time to share your story with our audience.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I really appreciate to have the opportunity to speak to you and others, and hopefully share my story and other things about me. If it helps the community and Islam in general, I'm all for it. And it's vice president of engineering. I wish I was a vice president.
Okay. Anyway,
I want to make sure people don't get the wrong idea.
Welcome to that. We will come to that point later in the program. I would like our viewers, whether they are live listening to the program now or they are going to look at the recordings later on and watch it, to share this program on their social media pages so that more and more people become aware of it. One of the purposes of this program is so that the mainstream society in Ontario becomes aware that this could become a major issue, that this is an issue, and let's do something about it so that it becomes a non-issue. So in that respect, what I would like to start this program by asking Ahmed, please tell us a little bit about your background. How did you start here, and what do you do now?
I'd love to. So I'm trained as a software engineer, and I came to Canada at a very, very, very young age. And thanks to my mother and father and my family for bringing me here into this nice country and giving me the opportunity to grow up here. I studied software engineering at the University of Toronto downtown here in Toronto. A lovely place, highly recommended for that program. I enjoyed my time there. I've been involved in many startups after graduation. I didn't spend a lot of time working corporate, but I've done a lot of entrepreneurial work. I seem to enjoy that kind of work. Mm-hmm. So it's been my favorite. And the startup I'm a part of today is in the AI logistics space, automation and things like that. And I'm the VP of engineering there. And I've been fortunate to be able to join this company. I really enjoy working there. Other things about me is I've volunteered at a young age. I've been always volunteering in masjids, trying to help with the things I could do. I wasn't exceptional at Islamic things, although I wish I was more. But I did a lot of youth programs and activities and bringing more youth to the masjid, encouraging them, sharing my experience as a youth there with them, and hoping that it has an impact on their life. I've been volunteering at a place called Subhan Masjid since 2012. Really, really enjoying it here. A lot of good people, a great community, multiple communities actually, and I've had the pleasure to serve this masjid as well as a volunteer, and I've reached also a stage where I'm helping them to helping the team and using my expertise and experience to help it to push it to the next level as an Islamic charity in Toronto.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Now, in your experience and assessment, you have been through quite a lot with different organizations, startups, and also with community organizations. How big of an issue is racism, discrimination, and Islamophobia in Canada, in your opinion? Is it on the rise, or tell us, share your insights on it?
Yeah, thank you. I believe that it is an issue in Canada. I mean, think about it. It's not the base of the country, of the traditions and all the things that this country itself has. Islam is something that came to it after a while, right? After it was established. So by definition, there's going to be some friction. Yes, there is some friction. However, I think it's not as prevalent in the more culturally diverse areas of Ontario or Canada in general. But where there is less of that diversity, I can definitely see that there is, like from my experience, I can sense that there is some of these things. But I think on a grand scale, Canada is great. It's not as big. And to answer the second part of your question, which is it, on the rise or not? I would say that I feel like it's on the decline actually, because more and more Canadians in general being aware of the sensitivities or the cultural aspects of the cultures here, which also a lot of them are Islamic, so they also learn a little bit about Islam as well, and they're becoming more aware of these traditions. So I find that it's actually them adapting as well, because I believe in general, most Canadians are really good-hearted and they're willing to accept change. So I can definitely say that it's more on the decline, I would say.
Well, thank you very much. That's good insight. Research, that have been research done also in this respect. They say that the Canadian society is quite open compared to other communities in the Western world. Canadian society is more diverse. It's more accepting of a variety of cultures. It's a cultural mosaic. Having said that, however, during the research shows that during the pandemic, there is not just a rise for Islamophobia. There is a general rise of kind of racist incidents, if I might call it. They said that, and it could be, the statistics could be a bit biased in the sense that a lot of the things are not reported, but they say that after the COVID, there has been almost a 68 to 70% rise in the reported incidents that have nature in racism, in discrimination, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and anti-minorities. They also, the statistics indicate that there was a 72% rise in reported Islamophobic incidents, a 68% increase in anti-Semitic incidents, and a 64% in anti-Catholics.
Wow.
Yeah, incidents. Now, that was surprising for me, because I thought that Catholics were part of the mainstream. But then when I did further research, actually, just to mention that perhaps it is reported this increase because the Catholic Church has a special unit in place, a mechanism in place where they gather all the statistics of anti-Catholic events and report them. The Jewish community also have an organization called B'nai B'rith. B'nai B'rith also collects all these incidents and report them as part of statistics, because the public policy in Canada is formed based on statistical information. Those things, So the more events are reported, it affects the public policy. Yeah. The Islamic society here, compared to others, is quite new. They haven't started that kind of a collection of information, but there is the National Muslim, the Canadian National Muslim Association, which has started working on that. But anyway, these are some statistical facts that I wanted for our audience to become aware of it, that this exists and that it was on the rise. But luckily, Canada is an open society, and the government is also has assigned a special representative to monitor anti-Islamic, Islamophobic events here. And so they are really active in that regard. But having said that, Ahmed, and my name is Ahmed also, so we're two Ahmeds today. Just to mention, even if it's a small portion, if we look at a glass that is full with clear and clean water, okay, and then you just bring a small drop of dirt and you drop it in it, it kind of contaminates the whole glass. So in Canadian society, which is so open, so diverse, where diversity, equity, and inclusion is now on the rise, and it is good, there are still some incidents. For example, what happened in London more than a year ago, where this family was overrun by a truck driver, or that event in Quebec City in the masjid that happened, or just a few weeks ago here in Toronto, in Scarborough, in that masjid, the Islamic Center, that something happened. It kind of tarnishes and give a bad rap to the Canadian society, even though otherwise a lot of people that I interviewed have not experienced any kind of racism or Islamophobia, which brings me to my next question, is that, you working here and being involved in so many different organizations, have you personally experienced any form of racism or discrimination or Islamophobic slurs or anything? It's
an interesting question, and just to tie into what you were saying earlier, which is some of the stats and these incidents you mentioned, while you were saying that, for me, like, the thought is always, yes, if you have that glass and you throw in a drop of poison, whatever you want to call it, the entire thing is going to go bad. But in my opinion, that has to happen. That is going to happen. Like, there's nothing that really you can stop that from ever happening and keep that water pristine forever. The way I see it is, yes, okay, the drop's in there. How do we eliminate that out of the water and clean it again and move forward? Because attitude matters, right? And us ourselves as the people perhaps being victims or somehow being targeted by Islamophobia or anything like that, we have to also make sure that we separate where it's coming from. If this is something coming from a specific person, we should not tarnish the water with it. If it's coming from a specific organization, deal with it accordingly based on the source of that drop, as you mentioned. Yeah. Coming back to your question, as for me as a professional, I've been actually very fortunate. I don't know if it's because I've been joining startups a lot or what, but or the line of work I'm in actually, because it's always you deal with very new people and more progressive people in my kind of companies or line of work, I would say. So I've not been a victim of it or experienced anything that I would call like a major event where I was in public embarrassed or anything like that, or put on the spot by someone and where they've attacked my race or my religion in any way. I've not been a victim of that. I know it could possibly happen in like, in very early education for kids and teenagers perhaps, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes on there in my opinion. But going to university, studying there, then working in somewhere, starting businesses and so on. I've done all that in Toronto, and it has been a very pleasant experience. I've not run into anybody I could immediately or blatantly detect anything like that. So I feel like I've been fortunate in that regards. And the truth, though, from what I sense and speaking to others, there is some discrimination in the workplace. Like in general, there's going to be that. But again, it comes from specific people, or it's not the organization that seeks this out or encourages this or fosters this. It's from specific people who their life experiences have led them to be this way, and then to instigate or attack others with that kind of hate, if you want to call it that, or racism. I feel like those things can be isolated, and the companies do deal with it. A lot of companies are actually very aggressive about things like that. If you say anything to, like, I'm talking about even startups and corporate places, if you say, even in some form of communication, written, verbal, or anything, or in a meeting, and you say something anti-Semitic, racism or anti-Islamic like that, you will be given a warning right away, if not let go, because it's not tolerated, especially not in most places that I've seen in Canada. And especially even in the US, these companies, these progressive companies, especially tech companies and other companies like this, they don't tolerate these things. If you look at smaller companies where it's like a mom and pop shop or run by one person, perhaps, but that's a completely different story.
Yeah. So the intention, I think, there is no way you can completely eliminate it. So what you come from a scientific background, and so do I. My previous experience as an architect in corporate setting was also we dealt with professionals, and I never experienced any kind of discrimination when I was in corporate world before I retired, which is a lucky situation. Having said that, I don't think we can completely eliminate from the society and or from that glass completely keep it clean. But what happens is we always say that the air has so many particles per million of toxins in it, but it is a safe level. I think that should be the aim of the government policies, as well as of these various organizations that deal with community development, they deal with improving the status of their community members, that their goal is to take it to that safe level where the manifestation of racism, discrimination, and hatred is at the level that is inconsequential, and it is at a safe level. And that will be good. Which brings me to my next question. You also are a volunteer in religious organization, which is growing. It's a new organization. And as you mentioned earlier, you want to take it to the next level. In that capacity as a volunteer in that organization, what will be your advice to individuals who come and they say that, well, we face this kind of situation. What shall we do? what do you suggest that community members can do in that regard? What will be your advice to them?
Well, as you know, when someone, just like in all matters, you know, in professional world or in a religious world or in a nonprofit organization or a charity organization, you always deal with people coming to you. And as you suggest, how do you deal with someone expressing? So this is what I understand is they've come to me or come to the organization and expressed that they've been a victim of racism or anti-Semitism or Islamophobia or anything like that. For the organization that I'm a part of, and the whole team, and we will always listen to the person and always give them the safe space first. Like, make sure that everything is okay. Like, stop whatever is happening to them if we can help them. As a community and as a community establishment, we have to help and listen to people where we can, where possible, within the Islamic framework. So that is the first thing, is to listen to them, make sure they're safe. We call the police if that's needed or anything like that. We involve the right authorities in there, follow the protocols, and give them that kind of thing. Now, what do we do when it's more like an active thing where we're trying to help the community in general without responding to an incident? Because for an incident, like I said, it's pretty clear we involve the correct authorities and we give them that safe space and then listen to them and try to connect them to the right people. For general, what does the organization do? And like, it depends on the vision of the people, and really, since it's an Islamic organization, its vision is an Islamic vision. So the Imam Abdul Hadi and the other Imam Abdul Jalil, myself and the other team members, we all have the Islamic vision, which is to have peace. Everybody should respect one another, give value to one another, not have any kind of violence. Whatever they are, I respect them, and spread that religion as much as possible in the right way by teaching people and being good examples of that, and so on. So that's the activities kind of thing. And just, being an organization that listens to its people and promotes good activities. We're helping community with youth. We help with any kind of charitable organizations that need our help. We try to help them. We try to help families. We listen to husband and wife who might need some help. They come to the masjid. We respond as much as we can. So we do all the good community work. We reject any kind of violence or any kind of hate speech or anything like that. And I think just having that's that standard and that mode of operation for all the people involved in the community and around the community's place. So that's how we do it.
That's really commendable that you do. Some other organizations, and when I interviewed in this series, you are the 24th person that have become the guest in this program. Some other guests who represented other organizations also mentioned they have similar programs, and they're trying their community to train their community members to be good ambassadors, ambassadors of this vision, the Muslim vision, in the society, to take that message of peace that you mentioned, to take it to the mainstream society, so that they become aware. I think this is a good policy, and it is in line with the vision of this program that the Afghan Association has done also. So
and I just wanted to add to your point, like, it's the thing is, Islam in its true form is a religion of peace. So we just have to make sure that that's what everybody understands, like, gets the right picture, and with today's things, it's like, I'll give you an example. Like, for me in my meetings or in my work or things like that, I wear my cap. I sometimes wear my jubba when I go to my meetings and stuff like that. And I also, at the same time, respect others who do the same thing, and I show them as well. I open myself up a little bit, and I teach. And when they ask me, they're like, "Hey, why are you wearing a jubba today?" And I tell them, I'm going to Jummah today, so I have to pray, and this is the garment I like to wear when I go for prayer. Oh, why do you pray? Oh, this is why I pray, because of these reasons, and I'm a Muslim, and so on. And then they see me interact with them at a professional level as well, so they form that bond, and it becomes more normal to them, and they're ready to do that, right? You just have to receive it the right way, and that's really important.
That's true. So we are coming to the end of our program, and I want to apologize to our audience and also to you as our guest that we had some technical glitches in the beginning of the program. But do you have any last message to not just the Muslim community, but all the immigrant community, in this part who are newly here? Any message that you might have so that they have a better life in Canada?
I'd love to share something, if I may, at the end. I'm not an alim or anything like that, but I think if you pursue the religion and you try to learn what you're being told. One of the things that made a big difference in my life was that I decided to, my parents, my family, they told me, this is your religion, you do that. Yes, they did their job, for example, but the other part is was on myself, which was to learn, well, what is this really telling me to do? Why is it telling me to leave my beard, or suggesting me to leave my beard, or telling me it's a good idea to wear a cap, or make sure I pray, or fast? Learning the wisdom or the intention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given in that was something that was really life-changing for me. And I always tell this to my colleagues at work, everywhere I've worked, and people who know me. I always tell them that story, and I tell them that was the best step I took, was to learn more about what it is that I'm doing, and not to just take it for a thing. And so the last message that I want to make is that a lot of people act a certain way with Muslims, or people they perceive as Muslims, out of curiosities, because they don't know what it is. They don't know why you're doing the movements on the carpet, or why you're doing this, why you're doing that. They will just poke you out of curiosity sometimes. That's the way they communicate. That's the way they're showing you their interest. So sometimes, instead of having a reaction where you're like, hey, why did you do that? Sometimes take the reaction of saying, hey, let me teach you what I'm doing. Here's why I'm doing it. This is why this is important to me. Yeah. And I find that always helps them connect and forms better bonds with them, and they learn more about me, and I learn more about them, and so on. I'm not saying that that's always the case. I'm trying to say is that they are curious to learn about us as well, and us as a community, as Muslim people as well, should take the effort to teach them what we know and what we've learned, and share it with them and involve them in that process. And I think that will lead to positive change, especially here in Canada.
And also to be curious to learn about them, where they come from.
Yes, very important.
That mutual kind of communication suddenly opens the doors for understanding.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
It's amazing. I've learned a lot from people who I had no idea, unless I asked.
Yeah, that's true. So we have come to the end of our program. I want to thank you for your time and for this very engaging conversation that we had here. And I also want to thank the viewers. Please, as I mentioned, please, whether you are viewing this live now or the recording, to share this on your social media pages. And I also want to acknowledge that this program, this initiative of the Afghan Association of Ontario, is in collaboration with and partial funding by the Government of Canada. And with that acknowledgement, I want to finish this program. So thank you very much. Until the next program, I would like to mention if there is anybody in the audience who would like to share their expertise or their experience, to please get in touch with me. My name is Ahmed Sharifi, and you can go to this page, send me a message, or to my own timeline, Ahmed Sharifi under the same name, and send me a message, and then we can be in touch, or how we can collaborate and how we can share our ideas and insights with the wider mainstream Canadian society. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.